Hi, everybody. According to Forbes, between 2007 and 2016, 43% of the top 20 box office grossing films in the UK were based on books and 9% more based on comic books. Popular movie and show franchises have realized that book-based movies are doing significantly better and have already hopped onto book deals. Netflix is one of many and even has a whole category called TV shows and movies based on books. Shows in this category include popular titles such as The Queen's Gambit, 13 Reasons Why, and Vampire Diaries. Forbes states that research suggests that adapted films tend to perform better because films can leverage the popularity of best-selling or well-known books through an existing audience. Additionally, movies adapted from books also tend to have more fully developed stories. So let me ask you this. When's the last time you watched a movie based on a book? What's your favorite movie? Do you know if it's based on a book? If so, have you read the book? If the percentages and numbers showing how successful movies based on books aren't enough to convince you, it's my turn to try to persuade you that reading the book before watching the movie is the superior way to enjoy a series. Here are popular movies movies and shows that you may or may not have realized were based on books. The Harry Potter series, The Notebook, Ready Player One, The Wizard of Oz, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Iron Man and the other Marvel series, X-Men, Jurassic Park, The Godfather, the Divergent series, the Hunger Games series, Forrest Gump, The Devil Wears Prada, Fight Club, Crazy Rich Asians, Perks of Being a Wallflower, Silence of the Lambs, and that's just to name a few. While of course these aren't all the movies in the world based on books, I tried to pick out a few popular ones that most people would know. However, notice that several huge franchises listed are all based on books. For example, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, The Hunger Games, the Marvel movies. I don't think it's much of a coincidence that all of these very successful multi-million-dollar shows and movies are based on books. So as mentioned earlier, books tend to have way more information and details than movies. As a result, sometimes movies lack critical information or choose to leave out smaller details to save time. For example, going back to the list from earlier, the Harry Potter series. There are several points that are just completely left out of the movies to the point where there are massive plot holes. Additionally, the characters aren't nearly as developed in the movies as they are in the books, making them less lovable and relatable. I can think of several characters from the Harry Potter series that don't have any plots or character development in the movies but are critical to the books. For example, Tonks and Lupin and their whole relationship. Ginny's character as a whole, as well as Ron's, are both severely underdeveloped, given one of them is a main character. And I included some cartoons from the Harry Potter series, or based on the Harry Potter series. Some movies are also just completely different than the books. It's every bookworm's worst nightmare to anticipate your favorite book being turned into a movie only to find out that the movie is completely different from the book. It's even worse when someone who hasn't read the book compliments the movie. The best example I have is the Percy Jackson series. The Percy Jackson franchise could have been as big as the Harry Potter series, in my opinion, if the movie hadn't completely disregarded every aspect of the book. The movies were such a flop that the author of the series, Rick Riordan, responded to the writers once they sent him their script, stating that the movies would cause them to lose an entire fan base, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And I included one of his tweets about the movies on this slide. A different outcome, however, is the book and movie Ready Player One. This movie was fantastic, however, is completely different from the book. In a very quick nutshell, the movie has the main character go through a series of video game tasks, which are all very creative and exciting in the movie, but not at all what happens in the book. In the book, the main character still goes through several video game tasks that are completely different, but just as creative as the ones in the movie. In this case, the differences between the book and the movie were massive, but not disappointing. Reading the book gives you the same story, but in a different version, and made it really fun to read the book and watch the movie. Finally, movies don't leave anything to the imagination if you watch the movie or show first. Game of Thrones is another very successful show based on a book series. While as the series goes on, it veers off the path the book is on. The first season of the show and the first book are extremely similar to the point where you can read along and watch the show at the same time. However, if you watch the series first, you don't get to create the universe and the characters in your own mind. This is also another example of a lot of details being left out of an on-screen series to save time. In conclusion, I think you should attempt to read the book before you watch the movie. Movies lack detail, information, and plot development compared to the books they're based on. Some movies are completely different from the books and sometimes don't do the books justice. Finally, movies don't leave anything to the imagination if you watch the movie first. It's nice to create the characters and their worlds in your own head with your own imagination. Overall, if you truly want to enjoy a series, the best way to do it is by reading the book first.